Greetings to all. I'm Dr. Sugantha, Head of the Department of Economics and Assistant Professor, and I will be handling you Rural Economics course. Let's begin with Unit 5. Tribal population in India, focusing on the most recent data from 2023. Now, we will explore its core characteristics, the distribution of tribal populations, their agricultural practices, challenges they face, and the vital role NGOs play in their development. Let's begin today's presentation on the tribal population. First, let us move on to the introduction towards the tribal population. India has a rich, diverse cultural heritage with the tribal communities representing some of the oldest and most unique groups in the country. These communities, living in harmony with nature, often have distinct economic systems known as tribal economies. India's tribal communities represent diverse ethnic groups with distinct cultural and social practices. In 2023, the tribal population accounted for about 8.6% of India's total population, concentrated mainly in rural and forested regions. According to the Constitution of India, there are 645 distinct tribes in India. Bhil is the largest tribe in our country, having a population of over 40 lakhs. Their rich heritage and traditional lifestyles contribute significantly to India's cultural fabric. Now, let's move on to the characteristics of tribal communities. The tribal community in India is unique, deeply rooted in tradition, with a focus on subsistence rather than profit. This economy revolves around natural resources, community cooperation, and sustainability, reflecting the values of collective welfare rather than individual gain. Even in 2023, most tribal communities rely on traditional knowledge for their livelihood, primarily in agriculture, animal husbandry, and forest-based activities. Key characteristics include a limited market orientation, reliance on bartering in some regions, and minimal dependence on formal financial systems. Economic transactions are often governed by social customs, with tribes prioritizing self-sufficiency over accumulation of wealth. Tribal groups often follow unique social customs, including specific marriage practices and governance systems led by elder councils. Economically, about 57% of the tribal population is active, with 91% primarily engaged in agriculture. A smaller portion, around 3%, works in manufacturing, while 5% contribute to the service sector. A notable 1% remains involved in forestry and food gathering, a testament to the traditional livelihoods. Now, let's move on to the geographic distribution of tribal populations in India. India's tribal population, approximately 8.6% of the total population, according to the latest census, is concentrated in three primary regions: the northeastern zone, the central zone, and the southern zone. Each zone represents unique cultures and geographical features, influencing how these communities interact with their environment. Now, let's move on to northeastern zone. Home to tribes like the Aka, Naga, and Bodo, this region's economy is closely tied to mountain, agriculture, and handicrafts. Central zone. With states like Madhya Pradesh and Jharkhand, this zone sees tribes like the Gond and Bhil engaging largely in agriculture and forest collection. Southern zone. Encompassing Kerala, Tamil Nadu, and Andhra Pradesh, tribes here, such as the Toda and Chenchu, are known for dairy, forest collection, handicrafts. Each region illustrates the diversity in economic activities and lifestyle driven by the natural resources available locally. Agriculture is the backbone of most tribal communities, although their methods differ from those practiced in urbanized settings. Now, let's explore how tribal agriculture and its allied activities function. The first being animal husbandry. Animal husbandry is a common practice among tribal communities as livestock offers a crucial source of income and nutrition. Many tribes rear cattle, goats, and poultry, which they use not only for food but also in barter exchanges with neighboring communities. Forest and forest collection. Forests are central to tribal life, providing food, fuel, shelter, and medicinal plants. Forest produce collection is a vital activity, including gathering items like honey, medicinal herbs, bamboo, and tendu leaves. Unfortunately, forest collection rights are often contested, with many tribes facing restrictions due to conservation policies. Now, let's move on to the problems in tribal areas. Tribal communities face several challenges that hinder their economic development and well being. First, loss of control over natural resources. The tribals enjoyed unhindered rights of ownership and management over the natural resources like land, forests, wildlife, water, soil, fish, etc. With the advent of industrialization in India and the discovery of mineral and other resources in tribal inhabited areas, these pockets were thrown open to outsiders and state control replaced tribal control. The next would be lack of education. There are certain factors which inhibit the tribals from taking to education. There are many superstitious beliefs in lack of education. The next would be displacement and rehabilitation. Migrating to adjoining states to work as unskilled workers in conditions of poverty. The migration of these tribals to the urban areas causes psychological problems for them as they are not able to adjust well to the urban lifestyle and the values. Problems of health and nutrition. The tribals face health problems such as prevalence of diseases like malaria, cholera, tuberculosis, diarrhea, and jaundice. Problems associated with malnutrition like iron deficiency and anemia, high infant mortality rates, low levels of life expectancy, and many more issues. The next would be gender issues. The degradation of the natural environment, particularly through the destruction of forests and a rapidly shrinking resource base, has had an impact on the status of women. Erosion of identity. The traditional institutions and laws of tribals are coming into conflict with modern institutions, which create apprehensions among the tribals about preserving their identity. Now, let's move on to the role of NGOs in tribal development. Numerous NGOs have stepped in to support the tribal communities and promote sustainable development. NGOs play a vital role in improving education, providing vocational training, and building health infrastructure. They also assist in advocating for tribal rights and ensuring that tribes benefit from government welfare schemes. In recent years, NGOs like Pradhan and Seva have empowered tribal women by training them in various skills, from handicrafts to digital literacy. However, much work remains to ensure these communities are not left behind in India's path to progress. So now, to conclude, the tribal economy, shaped by tradition, environment, and evolving challenges, remains an essential part of India's social and economic fabric. As we advance, it's crucial to strike a balance that respects and preserves tribal cultures while providing them with opportunities to thrive. With continued support from government, NGOs, and society, we can work towards an inclusive India where the tribal economy find its rightful place in the larger economic landscape. Let's empower the tribal population and raise their standard of living. Thank you all for your attention. Thank you.